This is my story. I walked the stage for my high school graduation when I was 18. I spent all summer long in amusement parks with my friends when I was 18. I spent all summer long saying goodbye to my friends, my family, my small town home, my childhood home, and my adorable cats when I was 18. I packed up my dad's truck and my parents moved me into college, exactly 663 miles away, when I was 18. I set up my new dorm room and said goodbye to my parents when I was 18. I was in a new state, alone for the first time when I was 18. I was sexually assaulted when I was 18. My first thoughts: get back to my dorm, take a shower, scrub my skin until it felt raw under my nails, cry silently so I wouldn't disturb my new suite mates. Then, as if my body and mind didn't know what else to do, I crawled deep inside myself and I lied. I told my parents a lie. Nothing happened. I told my roommates a lie. I'm so excited to start freshman year. And I told my friends back home a lie. I'm having so much fun. Don't worry. And I told myself it was my fault. But I wasn't the only one telling lies. If you tell, I'll kill myself. 5 missed calls. I'm already cutting don't do this to me. 10 missed calls. My heart raced. How could I sit back and know he was doing this to himself? And I let him on. It was my fault. I put myself in that situation. So where do I go? Who can I get to help me? I left my freshman group. I found an RA. She was busy, but when she looked up, she pulled me aside. I told her everything. I was shaking, my phone was buzzing, 15 missed texts, 3 missed calls. Don't worry, we'll help him. But a little part of me yelled out, what about me? But what a selfish thing to think. The next day, I was told he was fine. He said that I just must have misunderstood him. Eventually, about 3 days after, I got a call from Student Life. As I sat in the waiting room, I heard a deep voice dryly call my name. I was directed to follow him. He directed me to sit on the couch. He shut the door behind him. I heard it lock. My fingers dug into my thighs and my jaw tightened. He walked across the room, sat behind his large black desk, and looked at his computer. What happened? I bit my lip. I could feel the indents my nails started to make through my jeans. What happened? I told him vaguely. How was I supposed to tell a man who could be my dad's age about how someone did very dark things to me? Finishing with, don't let him hurt anyone else. I said softly, telling him what I could, and he looked at me and said, well, you sound like a jealous ex-girlfriend. Jealous ex-girlfriend? I never dated this guy. I had only met him a few days before. My anger and my pain, my fear in that moment, nothing mattered. I assured him it wasn't that I was his ex-girlfriend. It wasn't that I wanted to be. It was simply, I had heard things, and I just didn't want anyone else to have to go through what I did. What is it you went through? Doesn't sound like rape to me. Doesn't sound like rape. Excuse me as I sit across a cold room, alone on a dark couch, with a man I have never met who shut the door and locked it. Excuse me that thinking about it makes me feel like every inch of my body is shattering around me. Excuse me. My mind raced with anger, but all I could say to him was how he put the pillow over my mouth. And I felt it all. He looked at me coldly. Did you say no? Yeah. I said no. The thing was, I really did say no multiple times. But after a while, I stopped. Maybe it was the pill over my mouth. Maybe because he was twice the size of me. Maybe because I had come over. I put myself in that situation. Maybe I just let him on. And maybe it was just my fault. He rambled off my options. Investigation, but you seem to have no evidence. Charges, but it would be his word against yours. You see, the guy who did this to me, his family is super powerful, rich. They're very close to the university's president. His name was just very well known. And I knew this, and obviously the director did too. But he was right. His word against mine. And who was I but some small town girl from 663 miles away? The director didn't know how to handle a crying, shaking 18-year-old, so he sent me to a counselor, where I filled out 20 pages before they could even say hello. By then my tears ran dry. I was convinced it was my fault. The director didn't care. The counselors didn't care, and it was their job to. Right? The school gave me a no-contact order. It worked at the school. I switched from Spanish to French because he was in my Spanish. And for the rest of the year, every morning we passed, my legs felt weak. I would stop at the hut to grab a water and a muffin to avoid him seeing me. But sometimes he would, and those times I couldn't breathe. As time passed, I began to disassociate from it all. I took flight on safety inside myself, but it only led me to my room always being dark, not eating until after midnight, hiding away in my room, and only leaving to go to class, where I would constantly be afraid and nervous and anxious. I was determined to block it out, but every once in a while I would hear his name or see his face and I would spiral. It took me a year to tell my mom the truth, but I told her I understood it was not my fault. And I lied, because inside I still fully believed it was my fault. I agreed with her. I should have never put myself in that situation. Denial still felt safer. It took 2 years for me to believe that I counted. 2 years for me to tell a doctor. It took 2 years for me to realize why I was so scared. I didn't want to be that girl. To be honest, I had heard about girls before, how stupid they were, how they shouldn't have put themselves in that situation. And I was ashamed. But to me, the shame was my friend. I walked alone because it was easier than facing it. Isolated in my own mind, it took 2 years for me to grab a hold of a ledge of the light from above, the darkness that consumed me. It has been almost 3 years, and I gradually am pulling myself back up. But I am not, nor will I ever be perfect. Some days I feel like maybe, just maybe, I can get out. I can escape. But then others I slip and fall back down. I can describe this feeling as only one thing. Imagine you are in a room. There's no doors, there's no windows, and it's filling with smoke. You're suffocating, you feel like you can't breathe, you're fighting, you're scared, but you see a crack. And all you can do is fight and try to break that crack and try to get out, but at the same time from the other side it's getting repatched. It's a constant battle. There is no immunity to assault. I attended a new university when I was 20. I decided I wanted to teach 5th graders, or maybe even middle school history, when I was 20. I figured out my options are endless when I was 20. I got to go to my parents' new home and see them and my cats that is exactly 13 miles away when I was 20. I made new friends and I talked to old friends back home often when I was 20. I'm starting to seek help because it isn't my fault. when I was 20. I realized I matter when I was 20. To say this experience has made me want to become a teacher wouldn't be the whole truth. To be honest, it was my mom who taught me that the power of love, commitment, kindness, and understanding can make you stronger than you ever thought before. Who brought me to the doctors, who helped me tell them, who constantly asks me on my bad days what she can do. Who sees me not for my anxiety and my depression, but for her daughter, who loves to paint, read, and write. It was because of my sister, who taught me that even when times are dark, there can always be a light that is found. Who maybe hasn't experienced the same situation but similar feelings, and it has showed me that life can still be good. And no matter how much I think I'm alone or push people away, she'll always be right behind me. It was my favorite band, whose music brought me joy. It was my favorite author, who when I felt most alone in the world transported me to a new one. It was me, whose greatest joy is helping others, whose favorite thing in the world is to see a student's face light up when they finally accomplish one of their goals. Me, who wants to be a teacher, who wants to teach students one day, no matter the struggle, the fear or hesitation, you can always find the light at the end of the tunnel. And no matter what, speak up, speak out, be heard, find those who love you and teach you and who cherish you for all that you are. And don't let society blame, shame, or taunt you.